The story begins with a powerful moment where the main character openly declares that he will never accept an arranged marriage. This is not a quiet thought he keeps to himself, but a strong and public statement that he shares with confidence. He makes it clear to everyone around him, his family, friends, and even people in his wider social circle, that he believes in choosing his own life partner. For him, marriage is not just a tradition or a social responsibility. It is something deeply personal that should come from love, understanding, and mutual respect. This bold declaration becomes an important part of who he is. It defines how people see him and how he sees himself. He is not afraid to go against long-standing cultural practices, and he feels proud of standing firm in his beliefs. His thinking is influenced by modern ideas about relationships and freedom. He has likely grown up in a time where people talk more openly about love marriages, personal choice, and independence. He may have been exposed to movies, stories, or real-life examples where individuals follow their hearts instead of following traditions. These influences shape his mindset and make him question practices like arranged marriage. To him, the idea of marrying someone chosen by others feels restrictive. He believes that such a decision should come from his own feelings, not from family pressure or societal expectations. This belief gives him a sense of control over his future, and he values that control deeply. At the same time, his strong opinion might also come from personal experiences. Perhaps he has seen arranged marriages that did not work well. He might have witnessed couples who stayed together out of duty rather than love, or relationships where there was a lack of understanding and emotional connection. These observations could have made him skeptical about the success of arranged marriages. In his mind, he connects arranged marriage with compromise, unhappiness, or a lack of true connection. Whether these examples are fully accurate or not, they play a big role in shaping his attitude. They become proof, in his eyes, that his belief is correct. His declaration is not just about rejecting arranged marriage. It is also about embracing independence. He wants to make his own decisions and live life on his own terms. This desire for independence is common among people who value freedom and self-expression. He does not want to feel controlled or limited by traditions that he does not fully agree with. Instead, he wants to create his own path. This makes him feel strong and confident, as if he is taking charge of his destiny. His statement becomes a symbol of his individuality, showing that he is willing to stand apart from the crowd. However, making such a bold statement also has its consequences. When someone publicly declares a strong opinion, people begin to associate them with that belief. His friends may admire him for his courage, while some family members may feel hurt or concerned. In cultures where arranged marriages are common, his words might be seen as disrespectful or rebellious. This creates a tension between him and those who believe in tradition, even if he does not intend to hurt anyone. His stance can lead to disagreements and emotional distance. This tension adds complexity to his character and to the story itself. Another important aspect of his declaration is the sense of certainty he shows. At this stage, he is completely convinced that his belief is right. He does not seem to consider that his views might change in the future. This kind of certainty is common when someone feels strongly about something, especially when they have supporting experiences or influences. He believes he has understood the truth about relationships and marriage. This confidence gives him strength, but it also makes him less open to other perspectives. He does not fully explore the possibility that arranged marriages can also lead to happiness, love, and strong partnerships. As the story develops, This early declaration becomes very significant. It sets up expectations for both the character and the audience. People begin to see him as someone who will never compromise. On this issue, his identity becomes tied to this belief, and it becomes difficult for him to step away from it without feeling like he is betraying himself. This creates internal pressure, even if he is not aware of it at first. When someone defines themselves by a strong opinion, changing that opinion later can feel like losing a part of who they are. There is also an emotional side to his belief. It is not just logical or based on observation. It is also connected to how he feels about love and relationships. He likely dreams of a connection where two people understand each other deeply, where love grows naturally over time, and where both partners choose each other freely. This emotional vision makes arranged marriage seem less appealing to him. He fears that an arranged marriage might not provide the same level of emotional satisfaction. Whether this fear is justified or not, it plays a role in strengthening his stance. At the same time, his belief reflects a broader shift in society. Many people today are questioning traditional practices and seeking more personal freedom. His character represents this change. He becomes a symbol of a new generation that values choice and individuality. However, the story also suggests that reality is often more complex than simple ideas. Traditions like arranged marriage are not always as negative as they might seem, and personal choice does not always guarantee happiness. This contrast between belief and reality is what makes the story interesting and meaningful. His public declaration also affects how others interact with him. People may challenge his views, try to convince him otherwise, or simply observe him with curiosity. Some may secretly hope that he changes his mind, while others may support him fully. This creates a social dynamic where his belief becomes a topic of discussion. It is no longer just his personal opinion. It becomes part of a larger conversation about tradition, modernity, and the meaning of marriage. In addition, his strong stance may hide certain assumptions. He might assume that all arranged marriages are the same, or that they all lack love and happiness. These assumptions simplify a complex reality. In truth, arranged marriages can vary widely, depending on the people involved, the families, and the level of choice given to the individuals. By holding a strict view, he may be overlooking these differences. This highlights a common human tendency to generalize based on limited experiences. Another layer to consider is the pressure he puts on himself. By making such a strong statement, when someone publicly declares a belief, it can become difficult to change their mind later. They may worry about what others will think or feel embarrassed about going back on their words. This can create an internal conflict if their feelings or circumstances change in the future. At this point in the story, he does not yet face this conflict, but the foundation for it is clearly being set. The simplicity of his belief is both its strength and its weakness. It is strong because it gives him clarity and confidence. He knows what he wants and is not afraid to say it, but it is also weak because it does not fully account for the complexity of life. People's feelings, situations, and priorities can change over time. What seems certain today may not feel the same tomorrow. This tension between certainty and change is an important theme that begins with his initial declaration. Overall, this first part of the story introduces us to a character who is confident, independent, and strongly opinionated. His rejection of arranged marriage is not just a personal choice. It is a statement about his values and identity. It shows his desire for love, freedom, and self-determination. At the same time, it sets the stage for future challenges, as life may test his beliefs in unexpected ways. his journey is likely to explore whether his strong opinions can adapt to new experiences, or whether they will remain unchanged despite everything he faces. In simple terms, this moment is important because it tells us who he is at the beginning of the story. He is someone who believes in making his own choices and is not afraid to stand against tradition. But it also hints that his journey is just beginning and that his beliefs may be challenged as the story unfolds. After the main character makes his bold statement about rejecting arranged marriage, the world around him does not stay quiet. His words begin to spread, and people start reacting in different ways. Some reactions are supportive, while others are critical, emotional, or even hurtful. This moment becomes important because it shows that personal beliefs do not exist in isolation. They are always connected to family, culture, and society. What he thought was simply his personal choice quickly becomes a topic of discussion for everyone around him. His friends are usually the first group to respond, and many of them may support his decision. They might share similar ideas about love, independence, and personal freedom. Some of them may even admire his courage to speak openly about something that others hesitate to question. To them, he appears confident and modern, someone who is not afraid to challenge old traditions. They may encourage him to stay strong and not give in to pressure. These supportive voices give him a sense of validation. They make him feel that he is not alone and that his thinking represents a growing mindset among people of his generation. However, not all friends react in the same way. Some may agree with him, but choose to stay silent, especially if they come from families where arranged marriage is strongly valued. Others might feel unsure, standing somewhere between tradition and modern thinking. They may not openly challenge him, but they may question whether life is really as simple as choosing one path over another. These mixed reactions show that even among peers, there is no single way of thinking. Everyone is influenced by their own experiences, upbringing, and environment. The reactions from family members are often more intense and emotional. For many families, marriage is not just about two individuals. It is about relationships between families, social respect, and cultural continuity. When the main character rejects arranged marriage, some family members may feel that he is rejecting their values as well. Parents in particular may feel hurt or worried. They may think that he does not trust their judgment or that he is ignoring the traditions that have been followed for generations. This can lead to difficult conversations, misunderstandings, and emotional tension within the family. Elders in the family might take his statement more seriously than anyone else. They may see it as a sign of disrespect toward cultural practices. In their eyes, arranged marriage is not a limitation, but a system that has worked successfully for many years. They may believe that it provides stability, compatibility, and support from both families. To them, his rejection may seem immature or influenced by unrealistic ideas about love. This generational difference in thinking creates a gap that is not easy to bridge. Both sides believe they are right, but they are looking at the issue from very different perspectives. As the situation develops, subtle forms of pressure begin to appear. Family members might not always argue directly, but they may express their disappointment in indirect ways. For example, they might talk about the importance of tradition, share stories of successful arranged marriages, or compare him to others who followed the expected path. These comments may seem small, but over time, they build pressure. He begins to feel that his personal choice is constantly being questioned or judged. Society also plays a strong role in shaping the situation. In many cultures, marriage is not considered a private decision. It is something that involves community expectations and social approval. People outside his immediate family, relatives, neighbors, and even acquaintances may start forming opinions about him. Some may criticize him, saying that he is too influenced by modern ideas, or that he is forgetting his roots. Others may gossip, turning his personal decision into a topic of public discussion. This can make him feel exposed, as if his life is being watched and evaluated by others. At the same time, there may also be people in society who quietly support him. They might not speak openly, but they may respect his courage to stand by his beliefs. These individuals may have had similar thoughts, but never expressed them due to fear of judgment. Seeing him speak out might inspire them, even if they do not show it directly. This creates a silent layer of support that exists alongside the more visible criticism. The main character now finds himself in a complex situation. On one hand, he wants to stay true to his beliefs and maintain his independence. On the other hand, he cannot ignore the emotions and expectations of his family and society. This creates an internal conflict. He begins to realize that personal freedom is not always simple. It often comes with responsibility and consequences. Standing by his beliefs means facing pressure, criticism, and sometimes even isolation. The tension between him and his family may grow over time. Simple conversations can turn into arguments, and small disagreements can become bigger issues. He may feel misunderstood, thinking that his family is not respecting his choices. At the same time, his family may feel that he is not respecting their values. Both sides experience frustration, but neither fully understands the other. This emotional distance can be painful, especially in close relationships. Another important aspect of this situation is the role of expectations. Families often have dreams and plans for their children, especially when it comes to marriage. When the main character rejects arranged marriage, he is also challenging those expectations. This can create disappointment, as family members may feel that their hopes are being ignored. They may have imagined a certain future for him, and now that vision is being questioned. This adds another layer of emotional complexity to the situation. The pressure he faces is not always direct or aggressive. Sometimes it is quiet and constant, like a background noise that never goes away. He may feel it during family gatherings, in casual conversations, or even in moments of silence. This kind of pressure can be more difficult to handle because it does not have a clear form. It slowly affects his thoughts and emotions, making him question whether his decision is worth the struggle. At this stage, his confidence may still be strong, but small doubts can begin to appear. He might start wondering if he is being too rigid or if he is missing something important. He may question whether his understanding of arranged marriage is complete or based on limited experiences. These doubts do not immediately change his beliefs, but they create space for reflection. They show that his journey is not just about holding on to his opinions, but also about understanding them more deeply. This part of the story highlights a larger theme: the clash between personal freedom and societal norms. On one side is the idea that individuals should have the right to make their own choices, especially in something as personal as marriage. On the other side is the belief that traditions exist for a reason and should be respected. Neither side is completely right or wrong. Both have their own logic, values, and emotional importance. The conflict arises because these two perspectives do not always align. The main character's experience shows how difficult it can be to balance these two forces. He wants to be true to himself, but he also values his relationships. He does not want to hurt his family, but he also does not want to give up his independence. This balancing act is not easy, and it often requires compromise, understanding, and patience. At this point in the story, he has not yet found a solution. He is still navigating the tension, trying to figure out how to move forward. In simple terms, this stage of the story shows that making a personal choice is only the beginning. The real challenge comes from dealing with how others react to that choice. Support, criticism, pressure, and expectations all become part of the journey. The main character is no longer just someone with a strong belief. He is now someone who must defend that belief while staying connected to the people around him. This part of the story is important because it adds depth and realism. It shows that life is not just about what we believe, but also about how those beliefs fit into the world we live in. The reactions of others force the main character to think more carefully, feel more deeply, and grow as a person. Whether he changes his views or not, this experience will shape him in ways he did not expect. After standing so firmly against the idea of arranged marriage and facing all the reactions and pressure from people around him, the main character believes that his path is clear. In his mind, he has already decided what he will and will not accept in life. He feels confident that no matter what happens, he will stay true to his beliefs. However, life has a way of surprising people, especially when they are most certain about something. Just when he thinks everything is under control, an unexpected turn of events changes the situation completely. This unexpected moment does not come with a warning. It enters his life quietly at first, but its impact is strong and immediate. It could begin with something simple, like a conversation at home, a sudden family gathering, or a situation involving someone close to him. Maybe there is a family problem that needs urgent attention, or perhaps someone in the family is going through a difficult time. In such moments, decisions are not always made based only on personal preference. They are influenced by emotions, responsibilities, and relationships. The main character finds himself in a situation where his role in the family becomes more important than his personal opinions. For example, his parents might approach him with a proposal, but this time the situation feels different. Instead of forcing him or arguing with him, they may speak with emotion and vulnerability. They may explain their concerns, their hopes, and the reasons behind their request. He may see a side of them that he had not noticed before, their worries about his future, their desire to see him settled, and their belief that they are doing what is best for him. This emotional moment can affect him deeply. It is no longer just about tradition versus freedom. It becomes about understanding the people he loves. In another possible situation, he might meet someone unexpectedly through a family connection. This person could be introduced casually, without any pressure at first. He might assume that it is just a normal meeting, not realizing that it is connected to an arranged proposal. As he spends time with this person, he may begin to notice qualities that challenge his assumptions. The person may be kind, intelligent, independent, and easy to talk to. This creates confusion in his mind. He had always believed that arranged marriage means lack of choice and connection, but now he is experiencing something different. This unexpected turn is important because it forces him out of his comfort zone. Until now, his beliefs were based on what he had seen, heard, or imagined, but now he is facing a real situation that does not fully match his previous understanding. This creates a conflict inside him. On one side, there is his strong belief in personal choice and independence. On the other side, there is a real-life experience that does not seem as negative as he once thought. This internal conflict is not easy to handle, and it begins to change the way he thinks. The tension in the story increases at this point. The main character is no longer just defending his beliefs against others. He is questioning them within himself. He may start asking questions like, "Was I too quick to judge?" Or, "Is every arranged marriage really the same?" These questions do not immediately change his decision, but they open the door for doubt and reflection. This is a significant shift, because earlier, he was completely certain. Now that certainty begins to weaken. Another factor that adds to the unexpected nature of this situation is timing. Often, such turning points come at moments when a person is already dealing with other challenges. He might be facing stress in his career, feeling uncertain about his future, or experiencing loneliness. In such a state, his emotional strength may not be as solid as before. This makes him more open to new possibilities, even if they go against his earlier beliefs. It does not mean he is giving up easily, but it shows that human decisions are often influenced by multiple factors, not just fixed ideas. Family plays a strong role in shaping this turning point. Their approach might change compared to before. Instead of pressuring him directly, they may show patience and understanding. They might give him space to think, while still gently encouraging him to consider their perspective. This softer approach can have a deeper impact than direct pressure. It makes him feel respected, which in turn makes him more willing to listen. This change in family dynamics adds another layer to the situation. At the same time, society continues to exist in the background. The expectations, the opinions, and the silent judgments are still there. But now, they are not the main focus. The real struggle is happening inside him. He is trying to balance his identity with new experiences. He does not want to appear weak or inconsistent, especially after making such a strong public statement. He may worry about what others will say if he changes his mind. This fear adds to the tension and makes his situation even more complex. The unexpected turn also highlights an important truth about life. People often think they understand something fully until they experience it themselves. The main character had a clear image of arranged marriage in his mind, but now that image is being challenged by reality. This does not mean that his earlier beliefs were completely wrong, but it shows that they may have been incomplete. Real life is rarely black and white. It is full of shades and variations that cannot be understood from a distance. Emotion plays a big role in this part of the story. The main character may feel confused, frustrated, and even a little lost. He is trying to stay true to himself while also being fair to the situation in front of him. This emotional struggle makes him more human and relatable. It shows that strong people are not those who never question themselves, but those who are willing to face their doubts honestly. This turning point also creates curiosity for the audience. Up to this point, the story seemed to follow a clear direction. The main character rejecting arranged marriage and standing by his beliefs. But now, everything feels uncertain. The audience begins to wonder what he will do next. Will he stay firm? Or will he change his mind? Will he find a way to balance both perspectives? Or will he be forced to choose one over the other? This uncertainty makes the story more engaging and meaningful. Another interesting aspect of this moment is that it does not necessarily force an immediate decision. Instead, it creates a process. The main character begins to think more deeply, observe more carefully, and understand more clearly. He may take time to reflect on his past, his beliefs, and his current situation. This process of thinking and feeling is just as important as the final decision because it shows his growth as a person. In simple terms, this unexpected turn of events is the point where the story shifts from certainty to uncertainty. The The main character, who once believed he had everything figured out, now realizes that life is more complicated than he thought. He is no longer just reacting to others. He is now exploring his own thoughts and emotions in a deeper way. This makes his journey more realistic and interesting. Overall, this part of the story is important because it challenges the foundation of the main character's beliefs. It shows that no matter how strong a person's opinion is, life can present situations that make them rethink everything. The unexpected event does not immediately change him, but it starts a process of reflection and growth. It creates tension, curiosity, and emotional depth, making the story more powerful and meaningful as it moves forward. After the unexpected turn of events enters his life, the main character is no longer as confident and certain as he once was. The strong, clear belief he used to hold now begins to feel complicated. Instead of feeling sure about his decisions, he finds himself stuck in deep thought. This is the stage where he feels frozen. It does not mean that he physically cannot move, but emotionally and mentally, he feels unable to take a clear step forward. Every option in front of him feels heavy, and every decision seems to carry consequences that he is not fully ready to face. Inside his mind, a constant struggle begins. On one side, there is the version of himself who made that bold public statement. This version is confident, independent, and proud of standing against arranged marriage. It reminds him of his words, his identity, and the image he has created in front of others. It tells him that changing his decision now would make him look weak or inconsistent. He fears that people will say he could not stand by his own beliefs. This thought alone creates a strong pressure within him. He begins to feel that he is not just making a personal choice anymore. He is protecting his own image and self-respect. On the other side, there is a new voice growing inside him. This voice is quieter but persistent. It asks questions instead of giving answers. It makes him think about the situation differently. It reminds him of what he has recently experienced, the emotions, the people, and the possibilities he did not consider before. This voice does not force him to accept arranged marriage, but it encourages him to look at it with a more open mind. It creates confusion because it does not match his earlier certainty. Now, instead of one clear belief, he has two opposing thoughts that refuse to settle. This inner conflict becomes emotionally exhausting. He may spend long periods thinking about the same issue again and again without reaching a conclusion. His mind keeps going in circles. One moment, he feels sure that he should stay firm and reject the idea completely. The next moment, he wonders if he is being too rigid or unfair. This constant back and forth thinking makes him feel tired and frustrated. He wants clarity, but instead, he finds more questions. At the same time, fear begins to grow within him. One of his biggest fears is judgment. He worries about what others will think if he changes his mind. Since he made his opinion public, he feels like everyone is watching him. He imagines people talking about him, questioning his character, or even making fun of him. This fear is not always based on reality, but it feels very real to him. It adds pressure to his decision and makes it harder for him to think freely. Another fear he faces is the fear of making the wrong choice. Earlier, everything felt simple because he believed there was only one right path. But now, both options seem uncertain. If he sticks to his original belief, he may hurt his family or miss out on something meaningful. If he considers a different path, he may lose his sense of identity or regret his decision later. This fear of regret makes him even more hesitant. He does not want to look back in the future and feel that he made a mistake. His emotions also become more sensitive during this phase. Small things start to affect him deeply. A simple comment from a family member, a question from a friend, or even a quiet moment alone can trigger strong feelings. He may feel anger, confusion, sadness, or even guilt. These emotions do not come in a clear order. They mix together and create a heavy, emotional state. Sometimes he may feel like avoiding everyone, just to escape the pressure and noise around him. The idea of identity becomes very important in this phase. He begins to question who he really is. Is he the person who strongly rejected arranged marriage? Or is he someone who is open to change? He may feel like these two versions of himself are in conflict. Letting go of his old belief may feel like losing a part of himself. At the same time, ignoring his new thoughts may feel dishonest. This identity struggle makes the situation even more intense because it is no longer just about marriage. It is about understanding himself. Another layer of this emotional struggle is his relationship with his family. He cares about them, does not want to hurt them. He begins to understand their feelings more deeply than before. He sees their hopes, their worries, and their intentions. This understanding makes it harder for him to simply say no. At the same time, he does not want to make a decision just to please others. He wants it to come from his own heart. Balancing these two desires, respecting his family and staying true to himself, creates a powerful emotional tension. He may also start to reflect on his past experiences. He thinks about why he formed his beliefs in the first place. He may realize that some of his ideas were based on limited examples or assumptions. This realization does not immediately change his opinion, but it makes him more aware. He begins to see that his earlier certainty might not have been as complete as he believed. This awareness can feel uncomfortable, but it is also a sign of growth. During this phase, time feels different to him. Even if only a few days or weeks pass, it feels much longer because of the emotional weight he is carrying. Every moment feels important, as if his future depends on what he decides. This makes it difficult for him to relax or focus on other things. His mind keeps returning to the same conflict, trying to find a solution that feels right. He may also seek advice from others, but even that does not bring clear answers. Some people may tell him to follow his heart, while others may encourage him to think practically or consider his family's wishes. These different opinions can sometimes make things even more confusing. Instead of helping him decide, they add more perspectives that he has to think about. One of the most challenging parts of this emotional phase is uncertainty. He is no longer sure about what the future holds. Earlier, he had a clear vision of his life. He would choose his own partner and follow his own path. Now that vision is not as clear. He feels like he is standing at a crossroads, not knowing which direction to take. This uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, but it is also a natural part of personal growth. Despite all this struggle, something important is happening within him. He is learning to think more deeply, feel more honestly, and understand more completely. This process is not easy, but it is meaningful. It shows that he is not just reacting to situations. He is trying to understand them. His inner conflict, while painful, is also helping him grow as a person. In simple terms, this stage of the story is about being stuck between two paths. The main character is no longer the same person he was at the beginning. His beliefs are being tested, his emotions are stronger, and his thoughts are more complex. He feels pressure from outside and conflict inside. This makes it the most intense part of his journey because everything is uncertain and nothing feels simple anymore. This emotional struggle is important because it prepares him for whatever decision he will make next, whether he stays true to his original belief or chooses a different path, this phase ensures that his decision will not be shallow or impulsive. It will come from deep thinking and real understanding. The pain and confusion he feels now are shaping him into someone who is more aware, more thoughtful, and more human. At this stage of the story, the main character reaches a point where everything begins to feel very real and unavoidable. Earlier, his beliefs were strong and clear, and he expressed them with confidence. He believed that rejecting arranged marriage was the right and final decision for his life. But now, after everything he has experienced, the reactions of people, the unexpected situation, and his own inner struggle, he starts to understand that life is not as simple as he once thought. What once felt like a clear line between right and wrong now feels like a complicated space filled with emotions, responsibilities, and uncertainty. This is where the conflict between reality and pride becomes very strong. His pride is connected to his past words, his public declaration, and the image he has built of himself. He sees himself as someone who stands firm, someone who does not change easily, and someone who is not influenced by pressure. This pride gives him a sense of strength, but now it also becomes a burden. It reminds him of what he said and makes him feel that he must stay consistent no matter what. He worries that if he changes his mind, people will think he was wrong, weak, or confused. At the same time, reality is standing right in front of him, asking him to look at things differently. Reality is not based on ideas or assumptions. It is based on what he is actually experiencing now. He sees his family's emotions. He understands their intentions more clearly, and he may even see that the situation in front of him is not what he once imagined. Reality does not force him, but it quietly challenges his earlier thinking. It shows him that life cannot always be controlled by strict beliefs or fixed decisions. This creates a deep internal conflict. On one side, his pride tells him to stay the same, to protect his image, and to stand by his words. On the other side, reality invites him to grow, to adapt, and to understand things more deeply. Choosing between these two is not easy. It is not just a decision about marriage. It is a decision about who he wants to be as a person. Does he want to be someone who never changes, or someone who is willing to learn and evolve? As he thinks more about this, he begins to realize that pride can sometimes limit a person. While it can give confidence, it can also prevent growth. If he holds on to his pride too tightly, he may ignore important truths or miss meaningful opportunities. He may start to see that being strong does not always mean staying the same. Sometimes, real strength comes from accepting that we were not completely right and being open to change. At the same time, this realization is not easy to accept. Letting go of pride can feel uncomfortable and even painful. It may feel like losing control or admitting defeat. He may struggle with thoughts like, "What will people say?" or "Will I look foolish?" These thoughts are natural, especially for someone who has publicly taken a strong stand. But slowly, he begins to understand that life is not about proving something to others. It is about finding what truly feels right. This moment also brings a sense of maturity. Earlier in the story, his thinking was more simple and direct. He believed that one way was right and the other was wrong. But now, he starts to see the complexity of life. He understands that different paths can lead to different kinds of happiness. He begins to see that arranged marriage is not always forced or unhappy, just as love marriage is not always perfect. This balanced understanding shows that he is growing as a person. Another important realization he has is that life does not always follow our plans. No matter how carefully we think or how strongly we believe in something, unexpected situations can change everything. This does not mean that his earlier beliefs were meaningless, but it shows that life is flexible and unpredictable. Accepting this truth requires humility, which is the opposite of pride. It means understanding that we do not have all the answers, and that it is okay to change when we learn something new. During this phase, he may also start to think more about his future. Instead of focusing only on his past words, he begins to ask himself what kind of life he truly wants. He may realize that decisions should not be made just to protect pride or to prove a point. They should be made based on what will bring real happiness, peace, and meaning. This shift in thinking is a big step toward maturity. His relationship with his family may also begin to change during this time. As he becomes more open to understanding their perspective, the tension between them may slowly decrease. Conversations may become calmer and more respectful. He may feel more connected to them, not because he has fully agreed with them, but because he is now willing to listen and understand. This emotional connection can play an important role in helping him make his decision. At the same time, he still faces uncertainty. Even as he grows and understands more, he may not have a clear answer yet, but now his uncertainty feels different. It is not just confusion, it is thoughtful consideration. He is no longer reacting emotionally. He is thinking carefully about all aspects of the situation. This shows that his inner struggle is leading him toward clarity, even if he has not reached it yet. This stage of the story is powerful because it shows a turning point in his character. He is moving from a place of certainty to a place of understanding. He is learning that being right is not always the most important thing. Sometimes being honest with oneself and open to change matters more. This realization is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet and deep, but it changes everything. In simple terms, this moment is about choosing between ego and growth. His ego wants him to stay the same, to protect his image, and to avoid looking wrong. But his growth pushes him to accept reality, to learn from his experiences, and to become a better version of himself. This choice is not easy, but it is necessary for his development. Overall, this part of the story shows that real life is more complex than simple beliefs or statements. It teaches that people grow when they face challenges that question their thinking. The main character is no longer just someone who rejects arranged marriage. He is someone who is learning about life, relationships, and himself. This moment reflects maturity because he begins to understand that change is not a weakness. Instead, it is a sign of strength, wisdom, and true self-awareness. In the final stage of the story, the main character reaches a point where everything he has gone through begins to make sense in a deeper way. All the confusion, pressure, emotions, and inner struggle slowly come together to teach him an important lesson about life. This lesson is not just about arranged marriage, but about how people think, grow, and change over time. He starts to understand that being too rigid in his beliefs can sometimes limit his ability to see the full picture. Earlier, he believed that his opinion was completely right, and he held on to it very tightly. But now, after facing real-life situations, he realizes that life is more complex than simple ideas or strong words. This realization brings a sense of humility into his personality. Humility does not mean that he feels weak or ashamed of his past beliefs. Instead, it means that he becomes more open and balanced in his thinking. He understands that it is okay to be wrong or incomplete in one's understanding. He accepts that he does not have all the answers, and that other perspectives can also have value. This change in thinking is very important because it shows true growth. It is easy to be confident when things are simple, but it takes strength to accept that we may need to rethink our views. As he reflects on his journey, he may look back at his earlier statement and see it differently. He might realize that while his intention was not wrong, his approach was too absolute. He did not leave any room for exceptions or new experiences. He now understands that life cannot always be controlled by strict rules. Sometimes, situations require flexibility, patience, and understanding. This does not mean that he has completely rejected his original beliefs, but it means that he has learned to hold them more gently, without forcing them onto every situation. One of the most important changes in him is his ability to respect different perspectives. Earlier, he saw arranged marriage in a negative light, mostly based on limited examples or assumptions. But now, he begins to see that not every arranged marriage is the same. Some may be based on mutual understanding, respect, and even love. He realizes that people's experiences can be very different, and it is not fair to judge everything from a single point of view. This understanding helps him become more accepting and less judgmental. His emotional strength also grows during this process. Going through such a deep internal conflict is not easy, but it teaches him how to handle complex emotions. He learns how to sit with uncertainty, how to face his fears, and how to think carefully before making a decision. This emotional maturity becomes a valuable part of his personality. In the future, he will be better prepared to deal with challenges because he has already experienced a situation that tested him deeply. Whether he finally accepts the arranged marriage or decides to follow a different path, the most important thing is that his decision now comes from a place of understanding rather than stubbornness. If he chooses to accept it, it is not because he was forced, but because he has seen a different side of reality and is willing to explore it. If he chooses to reject it, it is not because of pride, but because he truly believes it is the right decision for him, after careful thought. In both cases, his choice becomes more meaningful because it is based on growth and self-awareness. Another important lesson he learns is about the role of ego in decision-making. Earlier, his ego played a strong role in shaping his actions. He wanted to stay consistent with his words and protect his image. But now, he begins to see that ego can sometimes create unnecessary pressure. It can make simple decisions more complicated by adding fear of judgment and the need to prove something to others. Letting go of this ego allows him to think more freely and honestly. He understands that life is not about always being right. It is about being real. His relationship with his family also improves as a result of this change. As he becomes more open and understanding, communication becomes easier. He listens more carefully, and he expresses himself more calmly. This creates a sense of mutual respect. Even if they do not fully agree on everything, there is a stronger emotional connection between them. This shows that growth is not just personal, it also affects relationships in a positive way. This stage of the story also highlights an important truth about human nature. People often believe that changing their mind is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it is a sign of growth. It shows that a person is learning, adapting, and becoming wiser. The main character's journey reflects this truth clearly. He starts as someone who is very certain and firm, but he evolves into someone who is thoughtful, balanced, and open-minded. The experience also teaches him patience. Earlier, he wanted quick and clear answers. He believed that decisions should be simple and immediate, but now he understands that some decisions take time. They require thinking, feeling, and understanding different sides of a situation. This patience helps him make better choices and reduces the pressure he puts on himself. In a broader sense, the story delivers a message that applies to everyone. Life is full of unexpected situations that can challenge our beliefs. No matter how sure we are about something, there is always a chance that we will encounter a situation that makes us think differently. Being open to these changes does not mean losing ourselves. It means growing into a better version of ourselves. In simple terms, the main character's journey is about learning to balance confidence with humility. At the beginning, he had confidence, but lacked flexibility. By the end, he still has confidence, but now it is supported by understanding and openness. This balance makes him stronger, not weaker. The lesson of humility also helps him become more kind and empathetic toward others. He realizes that everyone is on their own journey, shaped by their own experiences and beliefs. Instead of judging others quickly, he becomes more willing to listen and understand. This change makes his personality more positive and mature. As the story comes to an end, there is a sense of calmness and clarity. The intense emotions and conflicts begin to settle. The main character feels more at peace with himself. Regardless of the final decision he makes, he knows that he has grown, learned, and faced his challenges honestly. This sense of inner peace is one of the most valuable outcomes of his journey. Overall, this final part of the story shows that true growth comes from experience, reflection, and openness to change. The main character learns that life is not about holding on to rigid beliefs, but about understanding situations with a clear and open mind. He becomes more humble, emotionally strong, and respectful of different perspectives. This transformation is the true success of his journey, because it shapes him into a wiser and more balanced person. In the final stage of the story, the main character arrives at a place of acceptance, and this moment feels calm, clear, and deeply meaningful. After going through strong emotions, confusion, pressure, and inner conflict, he is no longer the same person he was at the beginning. Earlier, his thinking was very fixed. He believed that arranged marriage was completely wrong for him, and he saw the idea in a very simple, black and white way. But now, his mindset has changed. He begins to see that life is not just about choosing one side and rejecting the other. Instead, it is about understanding different perspectives and finding balance. This acceptance does not mean that he is forced into a decision or that he has given up his individuality. It means that he has reached a level of understanding where he is at peace with whatever choice he makes. If he chooses arranged marriage, it is no longer because of pressure or fear, but because he sees value in it that he did not notice before. If he decides not to accept it, his decision is no longer based on stubbornness or pride, but on a clear and thoughtful understanding of what he truly wants. In both cases, his mindset is no longer limited. It is open, flexible, and mature. One of the biggest changes in him is how he views traditions. Earlier, he judged arranged marriage quickly, without fully understanding it. He saw it as something restrictive, something that takes away personal freedom. But now, he begins to see the deeper meaning behind it. He understands that for many people, arranged marriage is not just a tradition. It is a system built on trust, family support, and shared values. He realizes that it is not always about control. Sometimes it is about care, responsibility, and the desire to create a stable future. This new perspective helps him become more respectful toward others. Instead of thinking that his way is the only right way, he begins to appreciate that different people have different experiences. What works for one person may not work for another, and that is okay. This understanding makes him more open-minded. He no longer feels the need to prove that he is right or that others are wrong. Instead, he focuses on understanding and respecting differences. At the same time, he also develops a better understanding of himself. Through all the challenges he faced, he has learned to listen to his own thoughts and emotions more carefully. He knows what matters to him and why. His decisions are no longer influenced by fear of judgment or the need to protect his image. Instead, they come from a place of honesty and self-awareness. This makes him feel more confident, but in a quiet and balanced way, not in the loud and rigid way he was before. Another important aspect of this stage is emotional peace. Earlier, his mind was filled with conflict and confusion. He was constantly thinking, questioning, and worrying, but now that noise begins to fade. He feels calmer because he is no longer fighting between two sides. He has accepted that life can be complex and that it is okay not to have perfect answers. This acceptance brings a sense of relief and clarity. His relationships also benefit from this change. With his family, there is now more understanding and less tension. He listens to them with respect, and they see that he has matured. Even if they do not fully agree on everything, there is a stronger bond between them. This shows that acceptance is not just an internal process. It also improves how we connect with others. This stage of the story highlights an important truth. Growth does not always mean changing your decision. It means changing your understanding. The main character may or may not choose arranged marriage, but the real transformation is in how he thinks and feels about it. He has moved from judgment to understanding, from rigidity to flexibility, and from pride to humility. He also learns that life cannot always be controlled by clear rules or fixed ideas. Sometimes we need to adapt, learn, and grow based on our experiences. This does not make us weak, it makes us wiser. He understands that being open to change does not mean losing his identity. Instead, it means building a stronger and more complete version of himself. In simple terms, he is no longer the person who sees things as only right or wrong. He now sees the shades in between. He understands that traditions can have meaning, that personal choice is important, and that both can exist together in a balanced way. This balanced thinking is a sign of maturity. Another important lesson he learns is about acceptance itself. Acceptance does not mean agreeing with everything or giving up personal beliefs. It means understanding reality as it is and being at peace with it. It means respecting others while also staying true to oneself. This balance is not easy to achieve, but once it is reached, it brings stability and clarity. The journey he has gone through changes him in a lasting way. In the future, he will approach situations with more patience and understanding. He will be less quick to judge and more willing to listen. This makes him not only a better decision maker, but also a better person in general. As the story ends, there is a feeling that everything has come full circle. The strong declaration at the beginning, the reactions, the unexpected events, the emotional struggle, and the conflict between pride and reality. All of these moments have led to this final stage of acceptance. Each step was necessary to bring him to this point of growth. Overall, this final part of the story shows that true maturity comes from experience, reflection, and openness. The main character's journey is not just about marriage. It is about understanding life in a deeper way. He learns to respect different perspectives, accept complexity, and make decisions with a clear and open mind. This transformation is the true success of his journey, as he becomes more thoughtful, balanced, and emotionally strong. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and share the video.